Alright, good evening ladies and gents, welcome back to Compound Interesting. In today's video I want to discuss Ethereum and why I've been putting every spare cent that I possibly can into it and will continue to do so over the next year or two. So firstly we're going to discuss Ethereum's valuation. Now Ethereum's market cap is currently around $200 billion, and if you want to get a kind of a valuation for Ethereum, like a price to earnings ratio, we can use the fees that Ethereum gets. So basically the amount that people are paying in fees to get into Ethereum's block space. So the total amount of fees that people paid in Q4 2021 was $4 billion. That was the total fees that people paid to, buy an NFT or to transact on Ethereum. That was the total amount of fees that everyone paid. And in Q1 of 2022, it was $2.4 billion. So if we use, say, like the $4 billion valuation, if we annualize that, that's $17 billion. It was 4.3 billion. So $17 billion over 200 billion in market cap over earnings of $17 billion gives a price to earnings ratio of 12. Now, if you know anything about investing in the stock market, you know a PE of 12 is extremely cheap, let alone for a high-tech, extremely fast-growing company. So, but even if you use the $2 billion that they earned in, or the $2.5 billion that they earned in Q1, that still gives a PE ratio of about 20. So if you compare that to a company like Tesla, has a PE ratio of like 80 or 100, Amazon similar, Apple PE ratio of like 25, maybe like 20 at the moment because of the big crash that we've had. But still, like, Apple is growing much slower than Ethereum is. Like, the network effects for Ethereum are massive, and not quite so much growth left for Apple in comparison to Ethereum. So from a valuation perspective, yeah, maybe the total fees garnered from Ethereum isn't exactly comparable to the earnings that Apple will get, but it's a nice corollary. So many people think, and I kind of agree, that owning Ethereum is kind of like owning shares in the future internet. It's owning shares in Web3, and I think most of Web3, NFTs, metaverse, all of that stuff will be built on top of Ethereum, and you have the opportunity to buy like stock in the actual internet itself. Like the Web3 infrastructure is all going to be built on Ethereum. You have that opportunity now. It's winning in DeFi and it's winning in NFTs. It's the most highly used collateral in DeFi, so most people use Ethereum as the collateral in DeFi, and I don't think that's going to change. I think Ethereum will always be number one, and if you agree, that's why you have to come up with your own perspective, but it is most likely because it is the winner now. Their team is amazing, and what's coming up next is the merge, which we're going to discuss right now. But the Ethereum Foundation, they've never really made too many mistakes, and even recently with EIP 1559, which went flawlessly, which basically introduced a share buyback for Ethereum. So every time someone you spent a transaction fee to use Ethereum, a certain amount of that fee was burned. So it's essentially a share buyback, as if that fee is gone, it's sent to a burn address, and it's basically reducing the supply of ETH. So it's a little share buyback out of the profits that Ethereum makes. So that went flawlessly, and now next they have the biggest event in cryptocurrency of all time, which is the merge, which is set for, I think, September 29th. So really, really soon. And this is kind of like the Bitcoin halvening, except 3 times as much. So it's called a triple halvening because it's going to reduce the issuance of Ethereum by 90%, not just by half. So yeah, like 1 halvening, 50%, 2 halvings, 25%, 3 halvenings, 12.5%. So actually a little bit more than 3 halvenings is happening in a few weeks. So what this is doing is, if you don't know, moving from a proof of work to a proof of stake chain, and that will mean instead of miners getting rewards for solving computational problems like using a lot of electricity and energy, it's just anyone who stakes to the network. So anyone who has 32 Ethereum, or even me, if I only have 1 Ethereum, I can join a pool and I can stake and earn a passive yield, a risk-free yield on my Ethereum, and that will be anywhere in the neighborhood of 4 to 8%. And I think a lot of institutions will see that and be like, oh, like interest rates are basically negative or 1% or basically nothing at the moment, and I can earn a risk-free yield in crypto on an asset that's growing at the craziest rate in human history. that's definitely going to entice them. Now you're going to be earning in yield, so there's obviously currency risk. There's currency risk if Ethereum doesn't go up. If Ethereum goes down, you'll lose money that way, but at least you can earn 4 to 8% on your Ethereum now. So that's going to add a little bit of interest. And when in the proof of work model, you have to buy a load of miners. That they cost a lot of money. The upfront capital is going into buying hardware, whereas with Ethereum, the upfront capital is going into buying Ethereum. So I have to buy 32 Ethereum to be able to stake, instead of buying 100 grams worth of Bitcoin miners or Ethereum miners to be able to mine Ethereum. So you can see what halvenings did before to Bitcoin. Like the first halvening brought Bitcoin from nothing up to $1,000. The second one brought it up to $20,000, and the third one brought it up to $69,000. So now you have a triple halvening, and in a time of massive monetary inflation, Ethereum is going to become deflationary. So basically the bullish case is that all these institutions are going to see Ethereum moving from proof of work to proof of stake, which means Ethereum's ESG narrative is massive, in the fact that the energy requirements for proof of stake is like 99% less than the energy requirements for proof of work. And everyone knows about Elon Musk and the whole energy fiasco that Bitcoin had. Ethereum won't have that baggage, so it's much more investable for these funds. And like, you know, back in 2017, Ethereum was tiny. These big funds with huge amounts of capital couldn't invest in Ethereum, just like they couldn't invest in Bitcoin in 2017. But they could invest in Bitcoin in 2020. It was big enough then, and they did. They really bought loads of Bitcoin in 2020 and 2021. So now Ethereum's big enough for these institutions to invest. The ESG narrative, which is massive, whether you believe in it or not. So Ethereum's like the most decentralized. It's the least likely to be classified as a security. Like the SEC has already kind of said it's not a security, so it's good to go. And the other interesting thing, or the funny thing that's going to happen potentially with Ethereum's move to proof of stake, is that the miners who are currently mining Ethereum, who are proof of work miners, they'll be incentivized to fork Ethereum. So there'll be the new proof of stake chain. But these miners, like, they have all this equipment, they might as well keep mining Ethereum. And the Ethereum proof of work chain, everything that you have on the new Ethereum, the real Ethereum proof of stake chain, you'll have a replica on the proof of stake chain. So all your NFTs, all your tokens, there'll be a proof of work version of that on the old proof of work chain. So there's some chances for speculation. So maybe you could buy a proof of work CryptoPunk or a proof of work Bored Ape or whatever. Maybe they'll have some value, but the sensible thing to do would be to sell them if there's into any pump, because over the long term it's probably going to trend to zero, just like Bitcoin Cash or any other Bitcoin fork, or even Ethereum Classic, which is an Ethereum fork. It's always best to stay with the main chain, the one that everyone's going to move on to, which is Ethereum proof of stake. Everyone wants to be on Ethereum proof of stake. Everyone in Ethereum wants to be on proof of stake. So yeah, don't fall for any proof of work stuff there. So these institutions are going to see like a extremely fast growing tech company with extreme growth, extreme network effects, an ESG narrative, and a share buyback, kind of a dividend as well. So there's just so many bullish catalysts for Ethereum in the short to medium term, but also in the very long term as well. So that's why I'm putting every spare cent I can into Ethereum. So in the near to short term, like, I don't really care what Ethereum price does. I kind of want it to remain low so I can keep dollar cost averaging in. But there are some bullish catalysts in the short to medium term from the merge and potentially other things. I don't like, if Ethereum gets back down to $1,000, I'll really be starting to ape in hard. But over the very long term, I think Ethereum's going to, going to tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars. Like, I can see this asset going to trillions, if not tens of trillions of dollars in market cap, because of all the things I mentioned, all the metaverse, all the NFTs, DeFi, all that is on Ethereum. So that's why I'm very bullish on Ethereum, and that's all I have to say. So if you enjoyed the video, hugely appreciate if you could smash the thumbs up, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell if you really like my videos, because they won't appear in your recommended feed because I'm such a small channel. So hope you enjoyed. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.